The MS Swaminathan Research Foundation, MSSRF in short, is a not-for-profit trust engaged in harnessing science for sustainable rural development. The foundation undertakes research and implements projects that are socially, environmentally, and economically relevant to society. Science for an inclusive society and working with a pro-poor, pro-women, and pro-nature approach is MSSRF's strategy to reach out to needy and vulnerable populations. Set up in 1988 by the renowned agriculture scientist and humanist Professor MS Swaminathan, MSSRF is headquartered in Chennai. Working with rural communities, MSSRF pilots and demonstrates workable models and engages in advocacy for their replication. The field sites for this action research are located in poverty and biodiversity hotspots of India in coastal, semi-arid and hill regions. Anticipatory and participatory research in the context of global warming and sea level rise was one of the first areas of work of MSSRF.
It was Dr. MS Swaminathan who at the earliest point in time saw the importance of coastal research. We have probably amongst the Southeast Asian countries the longest coastline in this part of the world. And this coastline is largely going unattended, unaddressed, and unlooked after.
Coastal systems research focused on mangrove forest restoration along the coast, demonstrating models of participatory joint forest management. MSSRF developed a Coastal Systems Research Program, CSR, on the model of Farming System Research, FSR. The program brought in an integrated management approach by land and sea surface on the one hand, and capture and culture fisheries and forestry and agroforestry on the other. The impact of this was clearly seen during the tsunami that struck the country in December 2004. Anticipatory research has involved work on developing crop varieties resistant to abiotic stress like drought and increasing soil salinization. Training community members to be climate risk managers and equipping them to be self-reliant through technologies like the Fisher Friend mobile application, FFMA, have demonstrated means of addressing the challenges facing coastal and rural communities. MSSRF has, through its work, established a national and global position of leadership in this area over the past 30 years.
The MS Swaminathan Research Foundation was started to fill gaps in ongoing work. As I mentioned, it was not the idea to start one more institution. The idea was what was missing in the government institution was there was no pro-poor, pro-woman, pro-nature orientation, ecological sustainability, environmental soundness, improvement, conservation of biodiversity, and a pro-woman attitude to agriculture.
MSSRF's significant contribution in the area of Indian biodiversity has been its leadership in the groundwork for two important legislations: Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Rights Act, PPV and FRA 2001, and Biological Diversity Act 2002. In order to operationalize the triple objectives of the International Convention on Biological Diversity, which are conservation, sustainable use, and fair and equitable sharing of benefits, MSSRF established community agro-biodiversity centers. The purpose of starting community centers for agro-biodiversity, a critical subset of biodiversity, was to demonstrate the best practices, methods, skills, and strategies needed for enhancing the community conservation efforts that have stronger impacts on the food, nutrition, health, and livelihood security of forest-dependent tribal communities and smallholder farm families. The concept of community agro-biodiversity management has been developed over the years by partnering with local communities for the application of modern science.
So in biodiversity, we look at the two levels. One is the endangered biodiversity and the other is the community biodiversity. So in the endangered biodiversity, we focused on the rare, endemic and threatened plant species. And in community biodiversity, we have started two centers rather. One community agro biodiversity center in Kerala and another center in Odisha and one more center in Kolli Hills. So these three field level centers, they essentially look into the community biodiversity management.
You can spend all day.
For chewing it. The beginning is
Cinnamon.
then
The mix of the collection of many endangered plant species and little-known species and varieties of food, medicinal and ecological value found in the Western Ghats over the years has been consolidated in the form of a botanic garden in the Community Agro-Biodiversity Center, Wayanad. A haven of tropical flora. Differing from the conventional concept of botanical gardens, the MS Swaminathan Botanical Garden has distinct components of agro-biodiversity, including germplasm of varieties of food plants like roots and tubers, legumes, citrus and wild edible greens, medicinal plants, wild orchids, and rare endemic and threatened RET species of trees. A total of 2,033 live plant species are conserved in the garden, of which about 200 are tree species, 512 are endemic to the Western Ghats, and 579 species fall under the Threatened Plant Species category of the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN. Conservation of millets by promoting their cultivation and developing sustainable value chains has been one of the thrust areas of work in both Kolli Hills in Tamil Nadu and Koraput in Odisha. Drudgery of labor for women has been alleviated by introducing village-level processing units and community members are trained to manage them. Nurturing grassroots institutions and farmer-producer companies is an essential component of MSSRF's approach to ensure sustainability of its interventions. Rural men and women are capacitated for sustainable livelihoods through natural resource management and eco-technology-based enterprise development. MSSRF pioneered the concepts of BioVillage based on sustainable utilization of available natural resources and village knowledge centers providing ICT-enabled demand-driven information to the community in the 1990s. ICT tools continue to be used to facilitate initiatives as appropriate. Given the challenge of a large malnourished population and a large proportion of people dependent on agriculture, the Foundation is engaged in promoting a farming system for nutrition or FSN approach to address malnutrition. FSN is a location-specific approach that focuses on increasing availability of nutrient-dense crops and animal foods and their consumption. Accompanied by nutrition awareness on balanced diet and consumption of all food groups, the focus of the FSN approach is on improving dietary diversity as the first step to improved nutrition outcomes.
Over the last few years, we have developed the model of what is called farming systems for nutrition, and in different parts of the country, we would like to expand this and take it forward and develop cropping systems which are good for both the soil and for animals and for humans. So taking the entire, from not just one crop specific research, but taking crop, livelihood, fisheries, all of them in a combined way.
Cultivation of fruits and vegetables is promoted on homestead land as nutrition garden instead of just kitchen gardens, to emphasize on the nutrition aspect and the importance of consuming nutritious foods. Genetic garden of naturally fortified and biofortified fruits and vegetables for addressing different nutritional deficiencies are being promoted at cluster level to conserve, multiply, and make planting material available. Village men and women are selected and trained to be community hunger fighters. They are the champions who influence other community members and take forward the approach. This is accompanied by advocacy for nutrition-sensitive agriculture policies and strategies. Through piloting models and action research, accompanied by policy advocacy, MSSRF has made its constructive influence bear upon at least 600,000 farm families across its field sites. The foundation, with its legacy of the past 30 years in reaching the unreached, its team of committed staff members, and support of partners, donors, and well-wishers, continues to take forward its work in different areas, with contributing to the realization of the Sustainable Development Goals as its agenda for the next decade.